The date is, well, you don't really know what year it is. But here's what you do know: you just died. Again. But don't worry, because in about 3 seconds, you're going to be born as someone completely different. Maybe a farmer in ancient Egypt, maybe a Viking warrior, maybe even your own great-great-grandmother. You see, today we're playing the ultimate game of life. Literally every human life that's ever existed. All 117 billion of them. And you're going to live them all one by one, stretching across 300,000 years of human history. Think about it. Every person who ever fell in love, every genius who changed the world, every ordinary person just trying to survive another day. That's all you. The caveman who discovered fire. You. The person who built the pyramids. Also you. That random peasant who died of plague in 1347. Yep, you again. By the way, if this sounds insane enough to keep you watching, hit that subscribe button. Trust me, it only gets weirder from here. Now, living 117 billion lives sounds exhausting, but here's the crazy part. You won't remember any of your previous lives while you're living them. You'll just be a regular person, doing regular person things, completely unaware that you've done this whole being human thing about 50 billion times before. But even though you can't remember, every single life you live changes the world for your future selves. The tools you invent, the children you raise, the diseases you cure or spread, it all adds up across hundreds of thousands of years. And when we add up all these lives, some pretty wild patterns emerge. You'll spend 400 billion years farming. You'll have sex for 1.5 billion years total. You'll spend 250 million years just giving birth. And unfortunately, you will die of malaria or smallpox in over 1% of your lives. That's more than 1 billion deaths from just those 2 diseases alone. But here's where it gets really interesting. Your first few billion lives, pretty boring honestly. You're mostly just trying not to get eaten by something with bigger teeth. But as human society gets more complex, your individual actions start having massive ripple effects across time. By your final life, the one you are living right now, you have more power to change the world than 99% of all your previous lives combined. A single tweet can reach millions of your former selves. One scientific breakthrough can save billions of your future lives. So buckle up, because we're about to experience every human story ever told. We'll start 300,000 years ago when you're basically a slightly smarter chimp, and we'll end up in the modern world where you might just hold the key to humanity's entire future. Ready to live 117 billion lives? Let's begin with your very first death and rebirth. Hunter-gatherer. Era, your first life begins 300,000 years ago in what will one day be called Morocco, but right now it's just home. You wake up on a pile of animal skins and your first thought isn't about coffee or checking your phone. It's about not starving to death today. Your brain is smaller than it will be in future lives, but you're not stupid. You're just simple. You think in pictures, not words. Hungry, cold, dangerous animal nearby. Safe now. The sun is rising and you need to find food. Your family group, about 8 people total, is already stirring. These aren't just random people, this is literally your entire world. Your father hands you a sharpened stick. It's not much, but it's the cutting-edge technology of your time. This same design will be used for the next 50,000 years without a single upgrade. You spend the morning looking for berries and roots. It's boring work, but boring keeps you alive. Every plant could feed you or kill you, and you're still learning which is which. Around midday, you spot something incredible. Animal tracks in the mud, fresh ones. Your heart starts pounding because this could mean meat for weeks. You follow the tracks with your older brother. The two of you have never spoken a real word, but you communicate perfectly through grunts and gestures. Point, nod, quiet now. The tracks lead to a small deer drinking at a stream. This is it. This is your moment. You raise your spear and throw it with everything you've got. You miss completely. The deer bolts and your dinner disappears into the forest. Your brother gives you a look that clearly says, "Nice job, genius." But this failure teaches you something important. Next time, you'll get closer. Next time, you'll aim better. This is how progress happens in your world, one missed meal at a time. That night, your family huddles around a fire that someone else started. You can't make fire yourself. Nobody can. When lightning strikes and starts a blaze, you grab burning sticks and pray they don't go out. Your little sister is coughing. She's been sick for days and there's nothing you can do except hope she gets better. Medicine doesn't exist yet. You either survive or you don't. She doesn't make it through the night. You bury her under some rocks and move on. Death is just part of life. You'll learn this lesson about 1 billion more times. Winter is coming and your family needs shelter. You find a cave that's empty. No bear signs, no bad smells. This will be home for the next few months. You spend weeks gathering firewood and food. Every day is the same routine. Wake up, find food, don't die, repeat. But somehow you're content. This simple life is all you've ever known. One evening, you're sitting by the fire when something strange happens. You start making marks on the cave wall with a burnt stick. Just random lines at first, but then you draw something recognizable. The deer you missed weeks ago. It's crude, barely more than a stick figure, but it's definitely a deer. You've just created your first artwork. Your family gathers around to look. They point and grunt with what sounds like approval. You've communicated an idea without words or gestures. You've left a permanent mark on the world. Over the winter, you add more drawings, handprints, more animals, simple faces that might represent your family members. You're becoming an artist without even knowing what art is. Spring arrives, and it's time to move again. The large herds are migrating, and you need to follow them. You take one last look at your cave paintings before leaving forever. Years pass in this pattern. Follow the herds, find shelter, survive winter, repeat. You never travel more than 100 miles from where you were born. Your entire universe is smaller than a modern city, but you're learning constantly. Which berries are safe, how to track different animals, where to find water during dry seasons. This knowledge will save countless future lives. You discover that certain plants can heal wounds. Others can ease pain. You don't understand why, you just know they work. You're accidentally inventing medicine, one plant at a time. One day you meet another family group. At first you're terrified. Strangers usually mean danger. But these people seem friendly. They have tools you've never seen before. They show you how to make better spear points by chipping stones in a specific way. In return, you share your knowledge about local plants. It's humanity's first trade deal. Your groups decide to travel together for safety. Now you're part of a larger community, maybe 20 people total. This is the biggest social group you've ever experienced. With more people comes new problems. Food shortages are more serious. Arguments break out over who gets what. You're learning that cooperation is hard, but necessary. You notice that the older people in your group are treated with special respect. They know things, where to find water during droughts, which animals are dangerous, how to predict weather changes. You realize that knowledge is the most valuable thing your people possess. More valuable than tools or food. Knowledge keeps everyone alive. As you get older, you become one of these knowledge keepers. Young people seek your advice about hunting and gathering. You're becoming a teacher without schools, a leader without titles. One harsh winter, food becomes scarce. Several people in your group are starving. You make a difficult decision. You give most of your food to the younger members. You know you might not survive, but they have a better chance. You don't make it to spring, but your sacrifice allows 3 young people to survive. Those 3 will go on to have children of their own. Your death saves dozens of future lives. In your next life, you're born into a slightly different world. Humans are spreading across Africa. developing new tools and techniques. The knowledge from your previous life is still there, passed down through generations. You live thousands more hunter-gatherer lives over the next 200,000 years. Sometimes you're male, sometimes female, sometimes you live to old age, sometimes you die young. Each life teaches you something new. In one life, you're among the first humans to leave Africa. The journey is terrifying and exciting. You're exploring a world nobody has ever seen before. You cross into Asia and see landscapes that boggle your mind. Vast deserts, frozen tundra, mountain ranges that stretch to the horizon. Earth is so much bigger than you ever imagined. In another life, you're part of the group that first reaches Australia. You build simple boats and navigate across open ocean. It's one of humanity's greatest adventures, and you're living it firsthand. You help develop the first complex tools, spear throwers that increase your hunting range, sewing needles made from bone, fish hooks carved from shells. Each invention makes life a little easier. Language slowly develops around you. What started as simple grunts becomes more complex. You learn to string sounds together to create meaning. Big mammoth over hill. Simple sentences that change everything. You witness the first cave paintings in Europe. Art is becoming more sophisticated. People aren't just drawing what they see, they're drawing what they imagine. Abstract thought is emerging. In one memorable life, you're part of the group that first domesticates dogs. It starts with wolves hanging around your camps eating scraps. Gradually, the friendliest ones become part of your family. Your canine companions change everything. They help you hunt more effectively. They guard your camps at night. They become your friends and partners, humans and dogs together at last. You live through the last ice age when massive glaciers cover much of the planet. Life is harder than ever, but humans adapt. You learn to hunt mammoth and make clothing from their thick fur. You develop new survival techniques, ice fishing, building shelters from snow and ice, preserving meat by freezing it. The cold nearly kills humanity, but instead makes you stronger. As the ice age ends, you witness dramatic changes. Sea levels rise, flooding vast areas. New forests grow where glaciers once stood. The world is transforming, and humans must adapt again. You're there when humans first crossed the land bridge into North America. It's another great migration, opening up 2 entire continents. Your descendants will spread from Alaska to Chile. In your final hunter-gatherer life, something new is happening. Some groups are staying in one place longer. They're experimenting with controlling plant growth instead of just gathering wild foods. You don't realize it, but you're witnessing the beginning of agriculture. The hunter-gatherer era is ending. Your next life will be dramatically different. As this era closes, you've lived roughly 12 billion lives over 290,000 years. You've spread across 6 continents. You've survived ice ages, volcanic eruptions, and countless predators. You've invented art, language, tools, and friendship with animals. You've learned to cooperate in larger groups and pass knowledge between generations. Most importantly, you've learned that humans can adapt to almost anything, desert or tundra, coastal or mountainous. You've thrived everywhere. Your hunter-gatherer lives were hard, but they built the foundation for everything that comes next. Every skill you learned, every tool you invented, every piece of knowledge you passed down, it all matters. The agricultural revolution is about to begin. Your simple life of hunting and gathering is about to become something much more complex. But that's a story for your next set of lives. For now, take a moment to appreciate what you've accomplished. You've survived 290,000 years as a human being. You've gone from barely more than an ape to the dominant species on Earth. Not bad for someone who started out just trying not to starve. Agricultural era. Your eyes open to a completely different world. It's 10,000 years ago, and something incredible has happened while you weren't paying attention. Someone figured out how to make food grow where they want it to grow. You're standing in what might be the world's first farm. It's not much, just a small patch of wild wheat that someone decided to plant on purpose. But this tiny field will change everything. Your hands are dirty from working the soil. This is new for you. In all your previous lives, you took what nature gave you. Now you're trying to control nature itself. Your sister walks over with a handful of seeds. She's been selecting the biggest, healthiest grains from each harvest and saving them for next year. She doesn't know it, but she's invented plant breeding. The wheat you're growing looks almost nothing like the wild stuff your ancestors gathered. It's bigger, easier to harvest, and the seeds don't fall off when the wind blows. You've accidentally created a new species. Your village has about 50 people now. That's massive compared to your old hunter-gatherer groups. But with reliable food sources, you can support way more people in one place. Not everyone is farming. Your cousin spends all day making pottery. Your neighbor focuses on tool making. For the first time in human history, people are specializing in different jobs. You wake up every morning in the same place. No more following herds across hundreds of miles. Your bed is in the same hut, next to the same fields, surrounded by the same people. It should feel boring, but it doesn't. There's something deeply satisfying about watching plants grow from seeds you planted with your own hands. The harvest season arrives and your community gathers more food than you've ever seen in one place. Baskets full of grain, enough to last through winter with some left over. That leftover food changes everything. For the first time, you don't have to spend every waking moment searching for your next meal. You have free time. Some people use that time to make better tools. Others experiment with new ways to cook food. Your nephew starts carving detailed figurines from wood. Art is becoming more sophisticated. You decide to use your free time to explore beyond your fields. A day's walk away, you discover another farming community. They're growing different crops. Barley instead of wheat. The two communities start trading. Your wheat for their barley. Your pottery for their tools. Commerce is born, and with it comes new ideas flowing between groups. One of their farmers shows you a technique for watering plants during dry spells. You show him how to store grain without it rotting. Knowledge spreads faster than ever before. Years pass and your little village grows into a proper town. More people means more problems, but also more solutions. Someone needs to organize all these people. Your community chooses leaders for the first time. Not the strongest or the best hunter, but the people who are good at solving disputes and organizing work. Politics is emerging. You witness the invention of the plow. Instead of digging holes with sticks, someone figured out how to use oxen to tear up large sections of soil at once. Farming just got way easier. With plows, you can farm much larger areas. Your community's food production explodes. The population starts growing faster than ever before in human history. But success brings new challenges. A neighboring community eyes your fertile fields with envy. They have weapons and they want what you've built. War is about to be invented. The attack comes at dawn. You've never experienced organized violence like this. In your hunter-gatherer lives, conflicts were small and personal. This is different. This is systematic. Your community fights back, and you learn something terrible. Humans are really good at killing each other when they organize for it. But you also learn that working together makes you stronger. After the battle, your people start building walls around the town. You're creating the first fortifications. Defense becomes as important as farming. The walls work, but they also change how you think about the world. There's us inside the walls and them outside. Tribal identity becomes more important than it ever was. Your daughter is born into this new world. She'll never know the nomadic life you remember from previous lives. To her, Staying in one place is normal. Living in a large group is normal. She grows up learning to read the sky for weather patterns. Farming requires planning ahead in ways hunting never did. You need to know when to plant, when to harvest, when to prepare for winter. Time itself becomes more important. In your hunter-gatherer lives, you thought in days or seasons. Now you're planning years ahead. You're developing calendars and keeping track of longer cycles. Your community discovers fermentation. Someone left grain in water too long and it started bubbling. Instead of throwing it away, they tasted it. Alcohol is born, and so are the world's first parties. But fermentation isn't just about getting drunk. It's also preserving food. Fermented grain and vegetables last much longer than fresh ones. You're solving the storage problem that plagued your ancestors. You learn to domesticate more than just plants. Wild sheep start hanging around your settlement, eating agricultural waste. Gradually, the tamest ones become livestock. Sheep give you wool, milk, and eventually meat. But more importantly, they turn grass and scraps into useful products. You're learning to create complex food webs. Goats follow, then pigs, then cattle. Each domesticated animal changes your society. Cattle are strong enough to pull plows. Horses will eventually let you travel faster than ever before. Your grandson becomes the village's first full-time priest. With stable food supplies, some people can dedicate their lives to thinking about bigger questions. Religion becomes more organized and complex. He tells stories about why the seasons change and where humans came from. These stories help bind your growing community together. Shared beliefs create shared identity. You witness the invention of writing. It starts simple, marks on clay to keep track of grain stores, but gradually people figure out how to record more complex ideas. Your great-granddaughter learns to read and write. She's among the first literate humans ever. She uses her skills to record farming techniques and trade agreements. Writing changes everything. Knowledge no longer dies with the person who holds it. Information can be preserved and shared across generations in ways never before possible. Your community becomes a proper city. Thousands of people now live within the walls. There are districts for different crafts, marketplaces for trade, and temples for worship. You become a city elder, helping to make decisions for this complex society. The problems are bigger now. Managing water supplies, organizing defense, mediating disputes between hundreds of families. But the solutions are bigger too. Working together, your people build irrigation systems that water vast areas. You construct granaries that can feed the city for years. You live to see your city become part of something even larger, a network of cities that trade with each other across hundreds of miles. Civilization is emerging. Trade routes connect your wheat to distant cities' copper and obsidian. Ideas flow along these routes just as much as goods. Innovations spread across continents. In one of your later agricultural lives, you're a merchant traveling these trade routes. You carry not just goods, but stories, techniques, and beliefs from one culture to another. You see how different communities have solved similar problems in different ways. Some build with stone, others with mud brick. Some worship sky gods, others earth goddesses. This exposure to different cultures makes you more adaptable. You learn that there are many ways to live, many ways to organize society, many ways to understand the world. Your final agricultural life takes place 5,000 years ago. By now, farming communities have spread across most of the habitable world. Humans have fundamentally changed how they live. You've gone from small nomadic bands to large settled cities, from hunting and gathering to farming and herding, from oral traditions to written records. Population has exploded. There are now millions of humans instead of thousands. Most of them live in agricultural communities that you helped create over thousands of lifetimes. But you've also created new problems. War is more devastating. Disease spreads faster in crowded cities. Environmental damage from farming is becoming noticeable. Social inequality has emerged. Some people own vast fields while others own nothing. Slavery exists for the first time. Progress has a dark side. Yet overall, life is better than it was. People live longer on average. Fewer children die in infancy. There's more art, more music, more time to think about abstract concepts. You've laid the groundwork for everything that comes next. Cities will grow into empires, writing will become literature, trade will become global commerce. As the agricultural era ends, you've lived through humanity's first great transformation. You took a species of nomadic hunters and turned them into settled farmers and city builders. You invented civilization itself. Not bad for someone who started out just trying to grow some wheat. Your next set of lives will be even more dramatic. Cities are about to become empires, and those empires will reshape the world in ways you can't yet imagine. But that's for tomorrow. Tonight, rest easy knowing you've fed the world. First cities, Mesopotamia. You wake up to the sound of thousands of people starting their day. It's 5,000 years ago, and you're living in something that has never existed before, a real city. Welcome to Uruk, one of humanity's first major cities, home to maybe 50,000 people. Your old farming villages suddenly seem tiny and quaint. You step outside your mud brick house onto a street that's actually paved with stones. There are drainage ditches running alongside the road. Someone is planning this place, not just letting it grow randomly. The noise hits you immediately. Merchants shouting about their wares, children playing in the streets, hammering from the metalworkers' district, cartwheels creaking over cobblestones. Your neighbor runs past you, clearly late for something. In your old village, everyone moved at the same relaxed pace. Here, people seem to be in a constant hurry. You work as a scribe now. It's a job that didn't exist in your previous lives. You spend your days making marks on clay tablets, recording everything from grain inventories to legal contracts. The writing system is getting more sophisticated. What started as simple pictures is becoming abstract symbols that represent sounds. You're helping to invent proper writing. Your workplace is a massive temple complex in the city center. It's not just a religious building, it's also the government headquarters, the main marketplace, and the cultural center, all rolled into one. The ziggurat towers above everything else in the city. 7 stories of mud brick reaching toward the heavens. It's the tallest thing any human has ever built, and you helped construct it. From the top level, you can see the entire city spread out below. Neighborhoods organized by profession, the wealthy district near the temple, the cramped quarters where the laborers live. Beyond the city walls, you see the irrigation canals that make all of this possible. Thousands of miles of channels directing river water to fields that feed the entire population. Your brother works as a canal supervisor. It's a crucial job. If the water system fails, the city starves. He's responsible for maintaining sections of canal and organizing work crews. The irrigation system is incredibly complex. Water has to flow uphill sometimes, using techniques that your ancestors couldn't have imagined. Engineering is becoming a real profession, but managing all this water creates new problems. Upstream cities can cut off downstream cities by blocking canals. Water rights become worth fighting wars over. You witnessed the world's first water war. 2 cities battling not over land or resources, but over who gets to use the river first. It's a preview of conflicts that will last millennia. Your city wins, but the victory comes with responsibilities. You now control other cities' water supply. You're becoming an empire without really meaning to. The king announces new laws to govern this expanded territory. These aren't just customs passed down orally, they're written codes that apply to everyone equally. Well, almost everyone. The laws clearly distinguish between different classes of people. Nobles, commoners, and slaves all have different rights and punishments. You're seeing social stratification become systematic. In your village days, some people had more than others, but the differences were small. Now they're enormous. The palace district is like a different world. Massive walls, beautiful gardens, servants everywhere. The king lives better than anyone in human history ever has. But the king also has responsibilities your old village chiefs never imagined. He's managing trade with distant cities, organizing massive construction projects and maintaining diplomatic relations. Your daughter works in the palace as a record keeper. She tracks tribute payments from subject cities, trade agreements with distant partners, and the complex web of royal marriages. These royal marriages aren't about love, they're about politics. When your city's princess marries a foreign prince, she's cementing a trade alliance that will benefit both cities for generations. You attend the wedding ceremony, and it's unlike anything from your simpler past lives. Hundreds of guests from dozens of cities, gifts worth more than entire villages, music, dancing, and feasting for days. The ceremony happens in the temple, but it's as much about earthly power as divine blessing. The gods are becoming more organized too, with clear hierarchies that mirror human society. Your city's patron god owns vast tracts of land worked by temple servants. Religious institutions are becoming major economic players, not just spiritual guides. You work on temple accounts and see the incredible wealth flowing through religious institutions. Grain, livestock, precious metals, exotic goods from distant lands. Some of this wealth funds public works, new canals, better roads, defensive walls, but some just makes the priests richer. You're witnessing the birth of institutional corruption. A foreign merchant arrives with goods you've never seen before. Silk from distant lands, spices that make food taste amazing, metals that are stronger than anything you can make locally. Trade networks are becoming global. Your city's pottery shows up in archaeological sites thousands of miles away. Ideas and technologies spread along these same routes. You learn that other cities have invented things your people haven't thought of yet. Better ways to work metal, new mathematical concepts, different approaches to governance. Competition between cities drives innovation. Everyone wants the best tools, the strongest walls, the most productive farms. Progress accelerates as communities try to outdo each other. Your son becomes a soldier in something new, a professional army. Instead of farmers who fight when needed, these are full-time warriors with standardized equipment and training. Warfare is becoming more sophisticated. Organized formations, siege equipment, military engineering. Your son learns tactics that would have been impossible in your tribal days. But armies are expensive. Someone has to feed and equip thousands of soldiers. Taxation becomes necessary, and with it comes the need for complex bureaucracies. You help develop the world's first tax system. Citizens owe the state a portion of their harvest, their crafted goods, or their labor. It's efficient, but nobody likes it. Tax collection requires record keeping, which drives improvements in mathematics and writing. You're learning to do calculations that would have seemed like magic to your ancestors. The number system is becoming more sophisticated. You can track large quantities, calculate percentages, and even do basic geometry for construction projects. Your nephew becomes the city's first professional mathematician. He spends his time figuring out how to divide land fairly, calculate storage capacities, and plan construction projects. His work seems abstract, but it has practical applications everywhere. Better architecture, more accurate calendars, fairer distribution of resources. The calendar becomes crucial for coordinating this complex society. Everyone needs to know when taxes are due, when religious festivals occur, when planting season begins. You help standardize weights and measures across your city's territory. A pound of grain means the same thing whether you're in the capital or a distant village. Standardization makes trade easier and fairer. It also makes administration more efficient. You're creating the infrastructure that allows large-scale societies to function. Your granddaughter attends the world's first school. Instead of learning by watching adults work, children now sit in groups and receive formal instruction. She learns to read and write, do mathematics, and understand the basic principles of law and religion. Education is becoming institutionalized. But education isn't equal. Rich kids learn more subjects and study longer. Poor kids get basic literacy if they're lucky. Social mobility exists, but it's limited. You witness the invention of money. Instead of bartering goods directly, people start using standardized tokens that represent value, silver pieces that everyone accepts. Money makes trade infinitely easier. You can sell grain for silver, then use that silver to buy tools from someone who doesn't need grain. Economic complexity explodes. But money also creates new problems. Some people accumulate vast amounts while others have none. Wealth inequality becomes more extreme than ever before. You see the first banks emerge. Temples start storing people's silver and lending it out at interest. Financial institutions are born along with concepts like debt and credit. Your city faces its first major economic crisis when several large loans go bad. People lose confidence in the silver standard. Trade slows down. Unemployment rises. The crisis teaches painful lessons about managing complex economies. Leaders learn they need to regulate banks, control money supply, and plan for economic downturns. Recovery comes through public works projects. The government pays people to build new canals and roads. It's an early form of economic stimulus, and it works. Your final life in this era takes place as the age of first cities is ending. These urban experiments have proven that humans can live together in huge numbers. But you've also learned that size brings problems. Disease spreads faster in crowded cities. Crime increases when people don't know their neighbors. Environmental damage becomes severe. The solutions to these problems will define the next era. Cities will grow into empires. Local governments will become vast bureaucracies. Regional conflicts will become massive wars. You've lived through humanity's urban revolution. You took scattered farming villages and turned them into complex cities with tens of thousands of residents. You invented professional armies, standardized currency, formal education, and centralized government. You created the template for every civilization that will follow. Most importantly, you proved that humans can cooperate on a massive scale. Yes, there are conflicts and inequalities, but somehow this giant anthill of a city actually works. Your next set of lives will be even more dramatic. These experimental cities are about to become the foundation for history's greatest empires. But tonight, as you fall asleep to the sounds of your bustling city, take pride in what you've accomplished. You've built something unprecedented in human history. You've created civilization itself. Ancient civilizations, your journey through time. Egypt, the gift of the Nile. You wake up to the sound of water lapping against mud bricks. The sun is just rising over the Nile River, and you can hear birds singing in the papyrus reeds. It's 400-500 years ago, and you're Egyptian now. Your village sits right next to the great river that makes everything possible. Without the Nile, Egypt would just be desert. But every year, like magic, the river floods and leaves behind rich black soil that makes crops grow tall and strong. Your father works in the fields, growing wheat and barley. Your mother weaves linen from flax plants. But you're different from your parents. You can read and write hieroglyphs, those beautiful picture symbols that cover temple walls. Learning to write hieroglyphs took you years. There are over 700 different symbols to memorize. Some pictures mean exactly what they show, like a bird or a house. Others represent sounds or ideas. It's like solving puzzles every time you read.
Being able to write makes you incredibly valuable. Most Egyptians can't even write their own names. You're one of maybe 100 people in your entire village who can read. This special skill will change your whole life. Today you're traveling to Giza to work on the Great Pyramid. You've heard stories about this amazing construction project, but seeing it with your own eyes takes your breath away. Thousands of workers swarm over the stone blocks like busy ants.
The pyramid is only half finished, but it's already taller than anything you've ever seen. When complete, it will reach 480 feet into the sky. That's higher than a 40-story building, built with nothing but ropes, ramps, and human muscle. Your job is being a scribe, someone who keeps records. You write down how many stone blocks arrive each day, how much food the workers eat, and how much each person gets paid. 2 million stone blocks will go into this pyramid. Each one weighs as much as a small car. The workers surprise you. Movies made thousands of years in the future will show slaves being whipped to build pyramids. But that's not true at all. These are paid workers who take pride in their jobs. They get good food, medical care, and respect from their communities. You meet stone cutters who can shape granite blocks so perfectly they fit together without any cement. You talk to engineers who figured out how to move 15-ton blocks up ramps hundreds of feet high. Egyptian engineering is more advanced than anything the world has seen. Your mathematics gets better every day. You learn to calculate angles, measure distances, and figure out how much food to order for 10,000 workers. Egyptian math is practical. It solves real problems that matter. The pyramid isn't just a tomb. It's a massive jobs program that employs half the people in Egypt. Farmers work on it during flood season when they can't tend their crops. Craftsmen create beautiful artwork for the burial chambers. Even children help by carrying water and tools. You attend the pharaoh's funeral when the pyramid is finally finished. The ceremony takes 70 days of preparation. First, doctors remove all the organs and preserve them in special jars. Then they wrap the body in hundreds of yards of linen soaked in resin and spices. The funeral procession includes hundreds of people. Priests chant prayers, musicians play harps and flutes, and professional mourners cry and wail. The pharaoh's mummy is placed in a solid gold coffin inside the pyramid's burial chamber, surrounded by treasures for the afterlife. Egyptian religion is incredibly complex. You worship hundreds of different gods. Ra is the sun god who travels across the sky in a boat. Isis is the mother goddess who protects families. Anubis has the head of a jackal and guides dead people to the afterlife. Your sister becomes a priestess in the temple of Isis. She learns to read sacred texts written on papyrus scrolls. She performs daily rituals to keep the gods happy. She also helps ordinary people by giving advice about marriage, business, and family problems. Egyptian temples are like small cities. The Temple of Karnak covers 200 acres and employs thousands of people. Priests, scribes, musicians, dancers, cooks, guards, and craftsmen all work there. The temple owns vast farms and workshops that make it incredibly wealthy. You help carve hieroglyphs on the temple walls. These aren't just decorations, they're historical records. You write about military victories, religious festivals, and important events. Future archaeologists will read these walls like history books. Egyptian medicine amazes you. Doctors can set broken bones, perform surgery, and treat diseases with medicines made from plants and minerals. They know that the heart pumps blood through the body. They can remove cataracts from eyes and repair injuries. Your cousin becomes a doctor. He learns anatomy by helping mummify bodies. Egyptian doctors are so skilled that kings from other countries send for them when they get sick. Medical knowledge that won't be matched in Europe for 3,000 years is common in Egypt. Egyptian art follows strict rules. Pharaohs are always shown larger than other people. Important figures face forward while less important ones are shown in profile. Colors have special meanings. Gold represents the flesh of gods. Blue means the heavens. You learn to paint tomb walls with scenes of daily life. These paintings show us exactly how Egyptians lived. People farming, fishing, hunting, dancing, and celebrating. The artwork is like a window into your world that will last forever. But Egyptian society has problems too. The pharaoh owns everything and everyone. Social classes are rigid. nobles, priests, scribes, craftsmen, farmers, and slaves. Moving up in society is almost impossible unless you learn to read and write. Women in Egypt have more rights than women in most other ancient civilizations. They can own property, run businesses, and get divorced. Some women even become pharaohs, but most women still spend their lives taking care of homes and children. Your final years in Egypt are spent teaching young scribes. You pass on the knowledge of reading, writing, mathematics, and record-keeping that keeps Egyptian civilization running. The skills you teach will be used for thousands of years. Mesopotamia, where civilization began. Your new life begins in the city of Babylon, 3,800 years ago. King Hammurabi has just done something revolutionary. He's written down laws that apply to everyone in his kingdom. For the first time in history, justice has clear rules. You work as a judge in the royal court, using Hammurabi's code to settle disputes. Before this, justice depended on who you knew or how much you could pay. Now everyone can see exactly what crimes lead to what punishments. The code is carved on a black stone pillar 8 feet tall. It contains 282 laws covering everything from theft and murder to business contracts and family relationships. The punishments are harsh, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, but at least they're fair and predictable. Your courtroom sees all kinds of cases. A merchant claims another trader cheated him. A woman wants to divorce her husband. A builder's house collapsed and killed someone. You use the written laws to decide what should happen in each case. The laws show how complex Babylonian society has become. There are rules about medical malpractice, construction standards, and women's rights. If a doctor kills a patient through carelessness, he loses his hand. If a builder makes a house that falls down, he can be executed. Your daughter inherits land when your wife dies. In Babylon, women can own property, run businesses, and make legal contracts. They have more rights than women in many other ancient societies. The law protects them from unfair treatment. Banking develops in Babylon like nowhere else. Temples and wealthy families lend money at interest. They keep detailed records on clay tablets, writing down every transaction. You can borrow money to start a business or buy a house, just like people do thousands of years in the future. Your son becomes a merchant, trading Babylonian textiles and crafts for metals and precious stones from distant lands. The cuneiform writing system, wedge-shaped marks pressed into clay, makes complex business deals possible. Every contract is written down and signed. Cuneiform writing starts simple but becomes incredibly sophisticated. At first, it's just pictures of objects, a cow, a grain of wheat, a jar of oil. But soon it develops into a complete writing system that can express any idea in the human language. You learn to write cuneiform by pressing a reed stylus into soft clay tablets. It takes years to master the hundreds of different symbols, but once you can write, you can record business deals, send letters to other cities, and preserve important information forever. Babylonian mathematics is amazingly advanced. You learn to use the number 60 as a base for calculations. This gives us 60 seconds in a minute, 60 minutes in an hour, and 360 degrees in a circle. These measurements are still used today. Babylonian astronomers study the night sky with incredible dedication. They track the movements of planets, predict eclipses, and create accurate calendars. They identify constellations and create the zodiac system that many people still believe in today. You help build the Hanging Gardens of Babylon, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world. These aren't just gardens, they're an engineering marvel. Water is pumped up multiple levels using a complex system of gears and pulleys. The gardens have trees and flowers from all over the known world. There are date palms from Arabia, cedar trees from Lebanon, and exotic flowers from India. The engineering required to water all these plants at different heights is incredibly sophisticated, but Babylon's greatest achievement might be cultural diversity. Your city is home to Babylonians, Assyrians, Jews, Persians, and dozens of other peoples. Different groups live together, trade together, and learn from each other. This mixing of cultures creates new ideas and technologies. Babylonian religion combines gods from many different peoples. Babylonian art shows influences from across the known world. Cultural diversity makes Babylon the most innovative city of its time. You serve as a government administrator helping to manage the vast Babylonian Empire. The kingdom stretches from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean Sea. Keeping track of taxes, trade, and military forces requires an enormous bureaucracy of scribes and officials. The empire's success comes from tolerance and organization. Local rulers can keep their own customs and religions as long as they pay taxes and provide soldiers. This makes the empire more stable than kingdoms that try to force everyone to be the same. Your final Babylonian life ends when the Persian Empire conquers the city. But Babylonian achievements survive. The legal system influences Roman law. The mathematical system spreads throughout the world. Astronomical knowledge helps future scientists understand the universe. Indus Valley, the advanced mystery. You open your eyes in the city of Harappa 4,000 years ago. You're part of a civilization so advanced it seems almost modern, yet so mysterious that future archaeologists won't understand it for thousands of years. The city planning takes your breath away. Streets are laid out in perfect grid patterns, just like modern cities. Houses are built with standardized bricks that are exactly the same size throughout the entire civilization. It's like someone designed the whole thing using a computer. Your house has running water piped in from a central reservoir. You have a private bathroom with a toilet connected to the city's sophisticated sewer system. Wastewater flows through covered drains underneath the streets. Most European cities won't have sanitation this good until the 1800s. The level of organization amazes you. Every city in the Indus Valley, from Harappa to Mohenjo-daro, 400 miles away, uses the same weights and measures. A bronze cube used for weighing goods in your city weighs exactly the same as one used in any other Indus Valley city. You work as a craftsperson, making standardized weights and pottery. The consistency is incredible. Indus Valley goods are so uniform that traders from other civilizations know exactly what they're getting. This reliability makes Indus Valley products highly prized. Trade networks stretch across the known world. Indus Valley merchants travel to Mesopotamia, Central Asia, and beyond. You help make jewelry, textiles, and metal goods that show up in archaeological sites thousands of miles away. You're part of the world's first truly global economy. Your sister works as a bead maker, creating intricate jewelry from carnelian, lapis lazuli, and gold. The technical skill required is incredible. Some beads are so small they can barely be seen without magnification, yet they're perfectly shaped and polished. The Indus Valley civilization is remarkably peaceful. Unlike other ancient civilizations, there are no massive palaces, huge temples, or monuments to powerful kings. Weapons are rare. Art doesn't show warfare or conquered enemies. It's as if an entire civilization decided to focus on prosperity rather than power. Your society seems surprisingly equal. Houses vary in size, but not dramatically. There are no obvious slums or mansions. Wealth appears to be distributed more evenly than in other ancient civilizations. Even the smallest houses have proper drainage and sanitation. The writing system fascinates and frustrates you. Indus Valley people use a script with hundreds of different symbols, but the texts are usually very short. Most are found on small seals used for trade. Future archaeologists will never figure out how to read your writing. You attend what might be the world's first city planning meetings. Community leaders gather to discuss drainage problems, trade regulations, and building standards. Decisions seem to be made by consensus rather than by powerful rulers giving orders. The agricultural system is incredibly sophisticated. Indus Valley farmers have learned to grow cotton, one of humanity's most important crops. The cotton textiles you produce are traded throughout the ancient world and highly prized for their quality. Water management is central to your civilization. Engineers build sophisticated dams, reservoirs, and irrigation systems. The Great Bath at Mohenjo-daro is a massive public swimming pool with waterproof walls and a complex drainage system. Indus Valley mathematics and science are highly advanced. You use decimal systems for counting and precise measurement tools for construction and crafts. The level of mathematical knowledge required for your city planning and engineering projects is remarkable. But your civilization faces growing challenges. The climate is gradually becoming drier. Rivers that feed your agriculture are changing course. Some cities are being abandoned as water becomes scarcer. Earthquakes and floods damage your carefully planned cities. Without powerful central governments to organize massive rebuilding projects, some communities never recover from natural disasters. Your final Indus Valley life takes place as the great cities are gradually abandoned. People don't leave all at once. They slowly migrate to other regions where farming is easier. The sophisticated urban civilization gives way to simpler village life. The Indus Valley civilization disappears so completely that future people won't rediscover it until 1922. Your remarkable achievements in urban planning, engineering, and peaceful social organization will be forgotten for over 3,000 years. China, the eternal civilization. You're reborn in ancient China during the Shang dynasty, 3,500 years ago. You're about to become part of the world's longest-lasting continuous civilization, one that will survive and thrive for thousands of years. The writing system immediately strikes you as different from anything you've experienced before. Instead of alphabetic letters that represent sounds, Chinese uses thousands of individual characters that represent ideas or objects. Learning to read and write takes years of dedicated practice. You become a scholar, spending your days memorizing characters and studying classical texts. In Chinese society, education is the path to respect and success. Scholars are more honored than merchants or even warriors. Your ability to read and write makes you incredibly valuable. The Shang dynasty has mastered bronze working technology better than anyone else in the world. You help create ritual vessels, weapons, and artwork that are technical marvels. Chinese bronze work is so advanced that the techniques won't be improved upon for centuries. Chinese agriculture is remarkably productive. Farmers have developed intensive cultivation methods that can feed more people per acre than anywhere else in the world. China's population grows larger than any other civilization because the farming techniques are so efficient. Your next life takes place during the Han dynasty, when China becomes unified under a strong central government. The emperor controls a territory larger than the Roman Empire, with a population of over 50 million people. The civil service examination system revolutionizes government. Instead of giving important jobs to nobles or wealthy families, China selects officials based on their knowledge and ability. You study for years to pass the exams that will let you serve in the government bureaucracy. Chinese medicine develops along completely different lines from Western medicine. You learn about QE, life energy, acupuncture, and herbal remedies that actually work. Chinese doctors can treat diseases that European physicians won't understand for centuries. Your daughter learns silk production, one of China's most closely guarded secrets. The process of raising silkworms, harvesting cocoons, and spinning thread into fabric is incredibly complex. Revealing these secrets to foreigners is punishable by death. The Silk Road opens up trade between China and the Mediterranean world. You travel this dangerous route as a merchant, carrying Chinese inventions and luxury goods to distant lands. The journey takes months and involves crossing deserts, mountains, and hostile territories. Chinese inventions keep changing the world. You witness the development of paper, gunpowder, the magnetic compass, and printing. These technologies will eventually spread to Europe and transform global civilization. During the Qin dynasty, you helped build sections of the Great Wall. This isn't just a wall, It's a massive infrastructure project that unifies China under one government. The wall requires millions of workers and stretches for thousands of miles across deserts, mountains, and grasslands. Building the Great Wall demands incredible organization. You help coordinate supply lines, manage work crews, and transport materials across vast distances. The project demonstrates China's ability to mobilize resources on a scale no other civilization can match. Chinese philosophy develops in sophisticated directions during your various lifetimes. You study Confucianism, which emphasizes respect for family, social harmony, and good government. These ideas will influence Chinese society for thousands of years. Taoism offers a different perspective, emphasizing harmony with nature and the importance of balance in all things. Buddhist ideas arrive from India and blend with Chinese thought, creating new forms of religious and philosophical expression. Chinese cities become incredibly large and sophisticated. During the Tang dynasty, you live in Chang'an, the world's largest city, with over 1 million residents. The city has wide boulevards, public parks, markets, temples, and entertainment districts. The invention of printing during the Song dynasty revolutionizes education and communication. Books become cheaper and more widely available. Literacy rates begin to rise as more people can afford to own books and learn to read. Chinese agriculture continues to improve throughout your lifetimes. New crops from other parts of the world, like corn and sweet potatoes, allow the population to grow even larger. Improved farming techniques feed hundreds of millions of people. But China also faces constant challenges. Nomadic peoples from the north launch periodic invasions. Internal rebellions occur when governments become corrupt or ineffective. Natural disasters like floods and famines test the empire's stability. The Mongol conquest temporarily ends Chinese independence, but Chinese civilization proves so strong that the Mongols gradually adopt Chinese culture and governing methods. China's cultural influence survives even military defeat. Your final ancient Chinese life takes place during the Ming dynasty, when China has become the world's most advanced civilization. Chinese technology, art, literature, and government administration are more sophisticated than anything in Europe. Greece, the birthplace of democracy. You wake up in Athens 2,500 years ago just as something unprecedented in human history is beginning. For the first time ever, ordinary people will have a say in how they're governed. You're about to experience the birth of democracy. The concept seems almost crazy at first. Instead of kings, priests, or nobles making all the decisions, citizens will vote on important issues. You're part of an incredible experiment in human self-government. Of course, not everyone gets to participate. Women, slaves, and foreigners can't vote. Only free adult male citizens, maybe 20% of the population, can take part in democracy. But even this limited democracy is revolutionary for its time. You spend your mornings in the agora, the central marketplace where politics and commerce mix freely. People debate everything from military strategy to philosophy to the price of olive oil. Free speech is a new and exciting concept. The agora is also where you hear the great speakers of your time. Politicians, philosophers, and ordinary citizens stand up and express their opinions about how the city should be run. Sometimes the debates get heated, but violence is rare. Your son studies under Socrates, the famous philosopher who teaches people to question everything. Instead of just accepting traditional explanations, Socrates asks, "How do we know that's true?" This new way of thinking will change the world. Greek philosophy is completely different from anything that came before. Instead of just accepting what priests or kings say, Greeks use reason and logic to understand the world. They ask questions about truth, justice, beauty, and the meaning of life. You attend lectures by Plato, Socrates' student, who believes that behind our everyday world lies a perfect realm of pure ideas. His thoughts about government, education, and human nature will influence thinkers for thousands of years. Aristotle, Plato's student, takes a more practical approach. He studies everything from biology to politics to literature. His system of logic and scientific method will become the foundation for European education. You witness the golden age of Athens under Pericles. The Parthenon is being built on the Acropolis, artists are creating masterpieces, and playwrights are inventing new forms of drama. Athens becomes the cultural center of the world. Greek theater is born during your lifetime. Instead of just religious ceremonies, plays explore human emotions, moral dilemmas, and social issues. You watch tragedies by Aeschylus and Sophocles that make you cry, and comedies by Aristophanes that make you laugh. The Olympic Games bring together athletes from across the Greek world every 4 years. Competition becomes a way to display excellence and honor the gods. The Games also provide a temporary truce between city-states that are usually at war. Greek medicine takes a revolutionary approach. Instead of blaming illness on angry gods, doctors like Hippocrates look for natural causes and treatments. The famous Hippocratic Oath that doctors still take today comes from this period. You study geometry under Euclid, learning mathematical proofs and logical reasoning that will be taught in schools for the next 2,000 years. Greek mathematics becomes incredibly sophisticated and influences all future scientific development. Archimedes discovers fundamental principles of physics and engineering. He invents the lever, pulley systems, and even an early steam engine. His famous exclamation, "Eureka!" comes when he discovers how to measure the volume of irregular objects. Greek historians like Herodotus and Thucydides begin recording events systematically. They don't just tell stories, they try to understand causes and effects. They interview witnesses and examine evidence like modern historians. The Persian Wars unite the Greek city-states against a common enemy. You fight at the Battle of Marathon, where a small Greek force defeats a much larger Persian army. Greek military tactics and fighting spirit prove superior to Persian numbers. The naval battle of Salamis is even more important. Greek ships defeat the massive Persian fleet, saving Greek independence. Democracy survives its first great test and proves that free people fight harder than slaves. But Greek success breeds internal conflict. The Peloponnesian War between Athens and Sparta tears the Greek world apart. Democracy shows its weaknesses as well as its strengths when political decisions are made by emotion rather than reason. Alexander the Great conquers most of the known world, spreading Greek culture from Egypt to India. Hellenistic civilization combines Greek ideas with local traditions, creating a cosmopolitan culture that influences the entire ancient world. Your final Greek life takes place in Alexandria, Egypt, the greatest center of learning in the ancient world. The Library of Alexandria attempts to collect all human knowledge in one place. You work as a scholar, preserving and copying important texts. Greek achievements in philosophy, mathematics, science, politics, and art will influence every civilization that comes after. You've helped create the intellectual foundation of the modern world. Rome, the eternal empire. Your Roman life begins 2,100 years ago in a small Italian city-state that will grow to rule the Mediterranean world. Rome starts as just one city among many, but Roman determination and organization will make it the greatest empire in ancient history. Roman engineering impresses you from the beginning. Aqueducts bring fresh water from mountains hundreds of miles away. Roman roads connect every corner of the growing empire with highways so well built that many are still used today. You work on road construction, learning the techniques that make Roman roads famous. The roads have multiple layers, large stones on the bottom, smaller stones in the middle, and smooth paving stones on top. All roads lead to Rome becomes a true saying. The Roman military is unlike anything the world has seen. Soldiers train constantly, use standardized equipment, and follow systematic battle tactics. The legions are so disciplined and effective that they defeat much larger armies through superior organization. Your son serves as a centurion, commanding 80 soldiers in campaigns across Europe and the Mediterranean. Roman military engineering allows armies to build fortified camps anywhere. Every night, soldiers dig trenches and build walls around their temporary camps. Roman law becomes incredibly sophisticated. The concept of legal precedent, where previous court decisions guide future cases, revolutionizes justice systems. Roman legal principles will influence law codes for thousands of years. You serve as a judge, applying Roman law fairly to citizens throughout the empire. The law protects property rights, enforces contracts, and provides legal procedures for resolving disputes. Roman justice becomes a model for future civilizations. Roman cities are marvels of urban planning. Public baths provide places for people to wash, exercise, and socialize. Theaters and amphitheaters offer entertainment. Forums serve as centers for business and politics. Temples honor the gods. The Colosseum in Rome can seat 50,000 spectators for gladiatorial games. The spectacles are brutal by modern standards, but they serve important social functions. Free entertainment keeps the urban masses happy and demonstrates the empire's power. Roman engineering reaches incredible heights. The Pantheon in Rome has a dome that won't be matched in size for over 1,000 years. Roman architects learn to use concrete, arches, and vaults to build structures larger than anything previously possible. Roman religion evolves from local Italian traditions to include gods and practices from across the empire. Religious tolerance becomes a practical necessity when governing dozens of different peoples with their own beliefs. The most significant religious change comes when Emperor Constantine converts to Christianity in 312 AD. A small Jewish sect that began in a remote province becomes the empire's official religion within a few generations. You lived through this transformation, watching Christian churches replace pagan temples. The change affects law, culture, education, and social relationships throughout the empire. Roman organization helps spread Christianity across the known world. Roman literature reaches great heights during your lifetime. You read Virgil's Aeneid, which tells the mythical story of Rome's founding and celebrates Roman values of duty, honor, and service to the state. The Roman economy becomes incredibly complex. Standardized currency makes trade easier. Banking systems allow people to deposit money in one city and withdraw it in another. Trade networks connect Britain to India through Roman merchants. You work as a trader, shipping grain from Egypt, wine from Gaul, silk from China, and spices from India. The Mediterranean becomes a Roman lake where Roman ships carry goods safely between distant ports. Roman slavery supports the empire's economy, but also creates moral problems. Millions of people live in bondage, working on farms, in mines, and in wealthy households. Some slaves are treated well, but others suffer terribly. You witness gladiator fights in the arena, knowing that many of the fighters are slaves forced to risk their lives for entertainment. The contradiction between Roman ideals of justice and the reality of slavery creates tensions that never fully resolve. But the empire faces increasing challenges during your later lifetimes. Barbarian tribes pressure the frontiers. Economic problems strain the government. Political instability weakens central authority. The empire becomes too large to govern effectively. Emperor Diocletian divides the empire into eastern and western halves, each with its own emperor. What was once unified becomes two separate civilizations with different languages, cultures, and faiths. Your final Roman life takes place as the Western Empire collapses in 476 AD. Barbarian kingdoms replace Roman provinces. The 1,000-year dominance of Rome comes to an end. The ancient world is ending. But Roman achievements survive the empire's fall. Latin becomes the basis for Spanish, French, Italian, and other languages. Roman law influences legal systems worldwide. Roman engineering techniques are rediscovered during the Renaissance. Maya, the masters of time. You're reborn in the magnificent Mayan city of Tikal, deep in the Guatemalan jungle, 1,200 years ago. Massive stone pyramids rise above the forest canopy, and you're part of one of the world's most sophisticated civilizations. Mayan cities are incredible achievements in tropical engineering. Tikal has over 100,000 residents living in a carefully planned urban center. Stone causeways connect different parts of the city. Reservoirs collect rainwater for the dry season. You work as an astronomer priest, one of the most important jobs in Mayan society. Your observations of the sun, moon, planets, and stars are more accurate than anything achieved in Europe. Mayan astronomy is amazingly precise. The Mayan calendar system is incredibly sophisticated. You can predict eclipses years in advance, calculate planetary positions, and coordinate religious ceremonies with astronomical events. Your calendar is more accurate than the one used in Europe. Mayan mathematics includes the concept of zero, which makes complex calculations possible. You're centuries ahead of European mathematicians in understanding numbers, place values, and advanced calculations. Your daughter learns to read and write Mayan hieroglyphs. The writing system is more complex than Egyptian hieroglyphs, capable of expressing abstract concepts, emotions, and complex ideas. Mayan literature includes poetry, history, and religious texts. You help carve historical records on stone monuments called stelae. These tall stone pillars record the dates of important events, the names of rulers, and the results of wars. Mayan history is written in stone throughout the region. Mayan art reaches incredible heights during your lifetime. Sculptures, paintings, pottery, and jewelry display technical skill and artistic vision that rivals any civilization. Mayan artists are both craftsmen and creative geniuses. The construction techniques amaze you. Mayan builders create massive pyramids and palaces without metal tools, wheeled vehicles, or large animals. Everything is accomplished through human ingenuity, organization, and backbreaking labor. You help design elaborate water management systems. Reservoirs, canals, and drainage systems allow large populations to thrive in the challenging tropical environment. Water engineering is essential for survival. Mayan agriculture is incredibly productive. Raised fields in swampy areas, terracing on hillsides, and forest gardens that mimic natural ecosystems support population densities that won't be matched in the region until modern times. The ball game is central to Mayan culture. You play this ritual sport in stone courts built throughout Mesoamerica. The games have deep religious significance and sometimes determine important political decisions. The losing team captain might be sacrificed to the gods. Mayan trade networks extend throughout Mesoamerica and beyond. You travel as a merchant, carrying jade, obsidian, cacao, and exotic feathers between distant cities. Trade routes connect the Maya with civilizations as far away as central Mexico. Cacao beans serve as currency in many transactions. You're part of the world's first chocolate-based economy. The Maya not only discover chocolate, but use the precious beans as money for buying everything from food to precious stones. Mayan religion is incredibly complex. You worship dozens of gods associated with different aspects of nature: rain, corn, the sun, the moon, death, and rebirth. Religious ceremonies often involve bloodletting, dancing, and sometimes human sacrifice. You participate in elaborate religious festivals that last for days. These celebrations include music, dancing, feasting, and ceremonies that connect the community with the gods. Religion touches every aspect of Mayan life. Your final Mayan life witnesses the abandonment of great cities like Tikal. Populations migrate away from urban centers, returning to simpler village lifestyles. The jungle slowly reclaims the magnificent stone cities, yet Mayan achievements don't completely disappear. Indigenous communities preserve astronomical knowledge, agricultural techniques, and cultural traditions. Mayan languages are still spoken by millions of people today. Inca, the children of the sun. You open your eyes high in the Andes Mountains 500 years ago. The air is thin at this altitude, but you're part of the Inca Empire, the largest empire in the Americas before European contact. You serve Inti, the sun god. The engineering achievements of your people amaze even you. Stone structures fit together so perfectly that you can't slide a knife blade between the blocks. No mortar holds the stones together, yet the buildings survive earthquakes that destroy modern structures. You work on the royal road system, building highways that connect the entire empire. Inca roads traverse mountains, deserts, and jungles with incredible engineering skill. The network includes over 25,000 miles of roads. The road system includes suspension bridges woven from grass ropes, rest stations every few miles, and relay runners who can carry messages across the empire in just days. Communication across thousands of miles of difficult terrain becomes possible. Inca agriculture transforms the landscape in ways that seem impossible. Terraced fields carved into steep mountainsides create farmland where none existed before. Irrigation systems bring water to crops growing at 14,000 feet above sea level. You help develop potato cultivation in the high Andes. The Inca grow over 200 varieties of potatoes, creating food security in a challenging mountain environment. Potatoes will eventually feed much of the world. The Quipu system fascinates you every day. Instead of written language, your people use knotted strings to record numerical information, historical events, and administrative data. It's a three-dimensional writing system unlike anything else in the world. You become a Quipucamayu, a specialist in creating and reading these complex record-keeping devices. You can encode information about taxes, population, military resources, and historical events using only knots in colored strings. Inca social organization is incredibly systematic. Everyone has a specific role and responsibility determined by age, gender, and social class. The Mita system organizes labor for public works projects throughout the empire. You participate in Mita service, working on road construction, agricultural projects, and building maintenance. It's taxation paid in labor rather than money. Every able-bodied person contributes work to support the empire. Inca medicine includes surgical procedures that European doctors can't match. Skull surgery performed at high altitude shows incredible medical skill. Inca doctors can treat head injuries and brain problems that would be fatal elsewhere. Your daughter learns textile production, one of the most important skills in Inca society. Inca weavers create fabrics so fine that Spanish conquistadors will prize them above European silk. Textile production combines art, technology, and social status. The empire's administrative system manages millions of people across incredibly diverse environments. Government officials coordinate resource distribution, population movement, and military activities across deserts, mountains, jungles, and coastal plains. You witness the incredible diversity within the empire. Coastal fishing communities harvest seafood and seaweed. Mountain farmers grow potatoes and quinoa. Jungle dwellers collect exotic birds and medicinal plants. All are united under Inca rule. The Inca system of reciprocity governs social relationships. Communities help each other during planting and harvest. Families share resources during difficult times. The government provides food during famines and disasters. You help build Machu Picchu, a royal estate perched impossibly on a mountain ridge. The engineering required to construct buildings at this location, with no modern equipment, demonstrates Inca mastery of stone working and construction. Inca religion centers on nature worship. You revere Inti the sun god, Mamaquilla the moon goddess, and Pachamama the earth mother. Mountains, rivers, and springs are all considered sacred and deserving of respect. Religious ceremonies often involve offerings of coca leaves, textiles, and sometimes llamas or guinea pigs. Human sacrifice occurs during extremely important events, but it's rare and considered a great honor for those chosen. The Chasqui messenger system allows rapid communication across the empire. Relay runners stationed every few miles can carry messages from Cusco to distant provinces in just days. The system is faster than any European communication network. Your sun serves as a chasqui, running at high altitude through mountain passes to deliver official messages. The physical conditioning required is incredible. Runners can maintain their pace for hours in thin mountain air. Inca metalworking reaches high levels of sophistication. You help create gold and silver artwork for temples and royal palaces. Inca craftsmen can work precious metals into incredibly detailed sculptures and decorative objects. The Temple of the Sun in Cusco is covered with sheets of gold that reflect sunlight throughout the sacred space. Gold is considered the sweat of the sun god and is reserved for religious and royal use. But the empire's centralized structure becomes its greatest weakness. When Spanish conquistadors capture the Inca emperor Atahualpa in 1532, the entire governmental system collapses. Without clear leadership, the empire cannot organize effective resistance. European diseases devastate native populations before most people even see Europeans in person. Smallpox, measles, and typhus kill millions of indigenous Americans who have no immunity to these diseases. Your final Inca life takes place during the Spanish conquest. You witness the destruction of temples, the melting down of gold artwork, and the suppression of native religious practices. An entire civilization is systematically destroyed. Yet indigenous knowledge and culture survive in hidden forms. Agricultural techniques, medical practices, textile traditions, and spiritual beliefs continue in remote mountain communities. The Inca legacy lives on in the people of the Andes. Persia, the tolerant empire. You begin a new life in Persepolis, the magnificent capital of the Persian Empire, 2,500 years ago. Under Cyrus the Great and his successors, Persia becomes the largest empire the world has ever seen, stretching from India to Egypt to Greece. The Persian approach to governing amazes you. Unlike other empires that force conquered peoples to adopt Persian customs, the Persians allow local traditions to continue. This tolerance makes the empire remarkably stable and long-lasting. You work as a government administrator, helping to manage provinces across 3 continents. The Persian system allows local rulers to keep their positions as long as they pay taxes and provide soldiers. This makes governing easier and cheaper. Persian engineering projects rival those of any civilization. The Royal Road stretches 1,600 miles from Sardis to Susa, with rest stations every 15 miles for royal messengers. Communication across this vast empire becomes possible for the first time. You help construct the underground irrigation channels called qanats that bring water from mountain sources to desert cities. This technology allows agriculture in areas that would otherwise be uninhabitable. Persian water engineering supports millions of people. The Persian postal system is incredibly advanced. Royal messengers on horseback can carry official communications across the empire faster than anyone thought possible. Neither snow, nor rain, nor heat, nor gloom of night stops the Persian postal service. Persian religion takes a revolutionary direction under the prophet Zoroaster. Instead of worshipping many gods, Zoroastrianism focuses on one supreme deity, Ahura Mazda, who represents truth and light against lies and darkness. You learn Zoroastrian teachings about the constant struggle between good and evil, the importance of good thoughts and good deeds, and the belief in a final judgment after death. These ideas will influence Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. Persian art and architecture combine influences from across the empire. The Great Palace at Persepolis includes artistic elements from Egypt, Mesopotamia, Greece, and India. Cultural diversity becomes a source of artistic inspiration. You attend ceremonies at Persepolis where representatives from all parts of the empire bring tribute to the Persian king. The artwork shows people from dozens of different cultures, all treated with respect and dignity. Persian military organization is incredibly sophisticated. The Immortals are an elite guard of exactly 10,000 soldiers, When one falls in battle, he's immediately replaced to keep the number constant. Persian military precision is legendary, but the Persians also show mercy in warfare. Conquered cities that surrender are treated well. Religious practices are preserved. Local leaders keep their positions. This policy makes Persian rule more acceptable to subject peoples. You witness Persian religious tolerance in action. Jews who were exiled to Babylon are allowed to return to Jerusalem and rebuild their temple. Other peoples also receive Persian support for their religious practices. The Persian approach to justice emphasizes truth and fairness. Courts investigate crimes carefully, hear testimony from witnesses, and try to determine what really happened. Persian law protects both the wealthy and the poor. Persian trade networks connect the known world. You help organize caravans that carry Chinese silk, Indian spices, Arabian incense, and European metals across thousands of miles of territory. The Persian Empire becomes the world's marketplace, but the empire faces challenges from Greek city-states that value independence above Persian tolerance. The Persian Wars show that even the world's largest empire can be defeated by smaller but more motivated forces. Your final Persian life ends when Alexander the Great conquers the empire in 331 BC. But Persian administrative techniques, religious ideas, and cultural tolerance influence the Hellenistic kingdoms that replace Persian rule. Conclusion. The eternal legacy. As your journey through ancient civilizations comes to an end, you've lived through humanity's most creative and foundational period. Every major technology, social institution, and cultural achievement that defines civilization has its roots in these remarkable societies. You've experienced the development of writing in Mesopotamia, the monumental architecture of Egypt, the democratic ideals of Greece, the engineering marvels of Rome, the astronomical precision of the Maya, the organizational genius of the Inca, and the cultural tolerance of Persia. Each civilization contributed something unique and irreplaceable to human progress. Egyptian monumentality and religious sophistication, Mesopotamian law and urban planning, Greek philosophy and scientific thinking, Roman engineering and governmental administration, Chinese inventions and cultural continuity. But you've also witnessed the common patterns that connect all human societies. Every civilization struggles with inequality, environmental challenges, political instability, and the eternal tension between tradition and innovation. Your ancient lives span over 4,000 years and include millions of individual experiences across every inhabited continent. You've spoken hundreds of languages, practiced thousands of different occupations, and participated in every aspect of human cultural development. Most importantly, you've learned that human creativity, adaptability, and resilience know no bounds. Given the right conditions, humans can achieve incredible things. The pyramids of Egypt, the roads of Rome, the astronomy of the Maya all testify to human potential. The knowledge and institutions you've helped create will survive the fall of empires and the collapse of civilizations. Ideas, technologies, and cultural practices spread between societies and across centuries. Human progress builds on itself. Writing systems developed in one place spread throughout the world. Mathematical concepts discovered by one civilization become universal tools. Artistic techniques pioneered in one culture influence artists everywhere. Religious and philosophical ideas transcend their origins to shape human thought globally. Your contributions to agriculture, medicine, engineering, law, art, literature, and science provide the foundation for all future human achievement. The modern world exists because of the groundwork laid during your ancient lives. Even when civilizations decline or disappear, their achievements endure. The Indus Valley civilization vanished so completely that it wasn't rediscovered for 3,000 years, yet its urban planning principles are still used today. The Maya abandoned their great cities, but their calendar and astronomical knowledge continue to amaze modern scientists. The ancient world you've lived through is ending, but its legacy is eternal. The next great era, the Middle Ages, will preserve, combine, and transform these ancient achievements. The foundation you've built will support even greater human accomplishments. Medieval scholars will translate and preserve ancient Greek and Roman texts. Islamic civilization will develop mathematics and science based on ancient knowledge. The Renaissance will rediscover and celebrate ancient art and literature. The modern world will build upon ancient foundations. Your journey through ancient civilizations reveals the continuity of human experience across time and space. The same hopes, fears, dreams, and challenges that motivated ancient peoples continue to drive human societies today. The pyramids still stand in Egypt, the Parthenon still crowns the Acropolis in Athens, the Great Wall still winds across China, Mayan pyramids still rise above the jungle canopy. These monuments testify to human achievement and remind us of our potential. But the greatest legacy of ancient civilizations isn't found in stone monuments or golden treasures. It's found in the ideas, institutions, and cultural practices that continue to shape human life. Democracy, law, science, philosophy, art, literature, medicine, engineering, all have ancient roots. You've been part of creating the blueprint for human civilization itself. The next chapter of human history will build upon the foundation you've laid. Rest knowing that your contributions to human progress will echo through eternity. The ancient world may be ending, but the human journey is just beginning. The creativity, wisdom, and achievements of ancient civilizations will inspire and guide humanity for thousands of years to come. The Middle Ages, the age of faith and change Europe, knights, castles, and cathedrals. You wake up in medieval Europe 1,000 years ago. The Roman Empire has fallen, and a new world is being born from its ashes. Your first life is as a peasant farmer in England. You live in a small village where everyone knows everyone else. Your whole world is maybe 10 miles wide. Life is hard but simple. You work the Lord's land 3 days a week, and your own small plot the other days. Most of what you grow goes to feeding your family. You can't read or write. Almost nobody can except priests and nobles. Knowledge is locked away in monasteries and castle libraries, but you're not stupid. You know when to plant crops, how to predict weather, and which herbs cure sickness. Your knowledge comes from watching and listening. The feudal system controls everything. You belong to your lord just like the land does. In exchange, he's supposed to protect you from bandits and invaders. Your son becomes a knight, which means he spends years learning to fight on horseback. Knights are the tanks of medieval warfare, heavily armored cavalry that can smash through enemy lines. Becoming a knight isn't easy. First you're a page, then a squire, learning to care for weapons and armor. A full suit of armor costs as much as a house. You attend your son's knighting ceremony. He kneels before his lord and swears oaths of loyalty. Honor and duty become more important than life itself. Medieval warfare is brutal but follows strict rules. Knights are supposed to protect the weak and fight fairly. Of course, reality doesn't always match the ideal. Your daughter enters a convent, becoming one of the few women who can read and write. Nuns preserve knowledge, copybooks, and care for the sick. Medieval Christianity shapes every aspect of life. Church bells mark the hours. Religious holidays are the only vacations. Heaven and hell feel very real. You help build a great cathedral that will take 200 years to complete. Entire generations of workers dedicate their lives to creating these massive stone prayers. Gothic cathedrals are engineering marvels. Flying buttresses allow walls to reach incredible heights. Stained glass windows turn sunlight into religious art. The cathedral becomes your town's center. People gather there for worship, markets, meetings, and entertainment. It's like a medieval shopping mall and community center. Medieval towns are crowded, smelly, and dangerous. Houses lean over narrow streets. Garbage gets thrown out windows. Disease spreads quickly. But towns also offer opportunities. Your grandson becomes a merchant, trading wool for spices. Money slowly begins to matter more than land ownership. Guilds control every type of work. If you want to be a blacksmith, baker, or carpenter, you must join the guild and follow their rules. The guild system protects workers but also limits innovation. Doing things differently isn't encouraged. Tradition matters more than efficiency. Medieval medicine mixes superstition with practical knowledge. Doctors believe illness comes from bad air or unbalanced body fluids. But some treatments actually work. Your wife becomes a midwife, helping women give birth. She knows more about childbirth than most doctors, but her knowledge isn't written down or officially recognized. The Crusades begin during your lifetime. Christian knights march to the Holy Land to fight Muslims. The wars last for centuries and change both cultures. You join the Third Crusade, traveling farther from home than any of your ancestors. You see new foods, technologies, and ideas that slowly filter back to Europe. The Black Death arrives in 1347, killing 1/3 of Europe's population. You survive, but everything changes. Labor becomes scarce and workers demand higher wages. After the plague, the feudal system starts breaking down. Peasants have more bargaining power. Some buy their freedom and move to towns. Your final medieval European life takes place during the Renaissance. New ideas from rediscovered Greek texts challenge medieval thinking. Change is coming. Byzantine Empire, Rome's eastern heir. You're reborn in Constantinople, the greatest city in the medieval world. The Byzantine Empire considers itself the true heir to Rome. The city amazes you. Massive walls protect a population of 500,000 people. The Hagia Sophia Cathedral is larger than anything in Western Europe. You work as a silk merchant, trading in luxury goods that come from as far away as China. Byzantine wealth comes from controlling trade between Europe and Asia. Byzantine Christianity develops differently from Western Christianity. Icons, religious paintings become central to worship, but some emperors try to ban them. You live through the iconoclastic period, when religious artwork is destroyed as idolatrous. Families hide precious icons, risking punishment to preserve their faith. Byzantine scholars preserve Greek and Roman knowledge that's been lost in Western Europe. You study mathematics, medicine, and philosophy in the Imperial Library. The empire faces constant military pressure. Arab armies attack from the south, Bulgarians from the north, and later Turks from the east. Your son serves in the Varangian Guard, elite warriors recruited from Scandinavia and Russia. These foreign soldiers are the emperor's most trusted troops. Byzantine diplomacy is incredibly sophisticated. Instead of just fighting enemies, the empire plays different groups against each other. You serve as a diplomat, negotiating with Arab caliphs, Bulgarian khans, and Italian city-states. Byzantine gold and cunning often work better than armies. The Great Schism of 1054 splits Christianity permanently. Byzantine Orthodox Christianity and Roman Catholic Christianity become separate religions. You witness this split, which affects everything from religious ceremonies to political alliances. East and West grow farther apart. Byzantine art reaches incredible heights. Mosaics in churches use gold leaf and precious stones to create images that seem to glow with divine light. Your daughter becomes a nun, learning to create illuminated manuscripts. Each page is a work of art, decorated with intricate patterns and bright colors. The Fourth Crusade devastates Constantinople in 1204. Western Crusaders attack the city instead of fighting Muslims. The empire never fully recovers. You survive the sack of Constantinople, watching Western knights loot the greatest library in the world. Irreplaceable books are destroyed for their gold bindings. Byzantine scholars flee to Italy, bringing Greek texts that help spark the Renaissance. The empire's intellectual heritage survives even as its political power fades. Your final Byzantine life ends in 1453, when Turkish cannons breach Constantinople's ancient walls. The last Roman emperor dies fighting on the city walls. Islamic Golden Age, House of Wisdom. You open your eyes in Baghdad 900 years ago. The Islamic world is experiencing its greatest period of learning and achievement. The House of Wisdom is the world's greatest library and university. Scholars from every religion and culture work together to translate and preserve knowledge. You work as a translator, converting Greek philosophical texts into Arabic. Much of ancient Greek learning survives only because Islamic scholars preserved it. Islamic mathematics revolutionizes human thinking. You learn about algebra, a new way of solving problems using letters to represent unknown numbers. Arabic numerals, including the concept of zero, make complex calculations possible. European merchants slowly adopt this superior number system. Your son studies medicine under Islamic doctors who perform surgery, understand anatomy, and develop new treatments. Medical knowledge advances rapidly. Islamic hospitals are centuries ahead of anything in Europe. They have separate wards for different diseases, medical schools, and even mental health treatment. You help establish a hospital in Damascus that treats patients regardless of religion or social class. Medical care becomes a public service. Islamic chemistry emerges as scientists try to understand how materials change. Alchemists develop laboratory techniques still used today. Your daughter studies astronomy, calculating the positions of stars and planets with incredible precision. Islamic astronomers create detailed star charts. The astrolabe, an Islamic invention, allows sailors to navigate by the stars. This technology makes long-distance sea travel much safer. Islamic architecture creates beautiful spaces for worship and learning. Geometric patterns and calligraphy turn buildings into works of art. You work on building the Great Mosque of Córdoba in Spain. Its horseshoe arches and intricate decorations represent a new architectural style. Islamic Spain becomes Europe's most advanced region. Córdoba has street lighting, public baths, and libraries when London is still a collection of mud huts. The interaction between Islamic, Christian, and Jewish scholars in Spain creates incredible intellectual ferment. Ideas cross religious boundaries. You study in Córdoba's libraries alongside Christian monks and Jewish rabbis. Religious differences matter less than the pursuit of knowledge. Islamic trade networks connect the world. Merchants travel from Spain to Indonesia, creating the first truly global economy since Roman times. Your grandson becomes a merchant, trading African gold for Asian spices. Islamic banking systems make international commerce possible. But the Islamic world faces internal divisions. Different groups interpret Islam differently, leading to political conflicts and religious wars. The Mongol invasion of 1258 destroys Baghdad and its libraries. Centuries of accumulated knowledge disappear in a few days of destruction. Your final Islamic Golden Age life witnesses this catastrophe. The House of Wisdom burns, and the Islamic world's intellectual leadership begins to decline. Medieval China. The Middle Kingdom's glory. You're reborn in China during the Tang dynasty, 1200 years ago. China is the world's most advanced civilization, far ahead of Europe in almost everything. Chang'an, the capital, is the world's largest city with over 1 million people. Wide boulevards, public gardens, and international markets make it incredibly cosmopolitan. You work as a government official having passed the civil service examinations. China chooses its leaders based on merit, not birth, a revolutionary idea. The examination system tests knowledge of literature, philosophy, and administration. Studying for these tests takes years, but success guarantees a good career. Your son becomes a poet during China's golden age of literature. Tang dynasty poetry reaches artistic heights that influence Chinese culture for centuries. Chinese poetry follows strict rules about rhythm and tone, But within these limits, poets express incredibly sophisticated emotions and ideas. You attend poetry competitions where scholars compete to create the most beautiful verses. Art and scholarship are highly valued in Chinese society. Chinese technology continues advancing. Gunpowder is invented for fireworks but eventually revolutionizes warfare. The compass makes navigation much more accurate. Your daughter works in a silk factory, producing luxury textiles that are traded across Asia. Chinese silk remains the world's finest fabric. The Silk Road connects China to Central Asia, the Middle East, and eventually Europe. You travel this route as a merchant, seeing dozens of different cultures. Chinese cities become incredibly sophisticated. Paper money replaces heavy coins. Restaurants serve food from across Asia. Entertainment districts offer plays and music. You witness the invention of printing during the Song dynasty. Books become cheaper and more widely available. Literacy rates begin rising. Chinese agriculture feeds the world's largest population. New crops from Southeast Asia allow even more people to live in China. Rice cultivation in southern China becomes incredibly productive. Terraced fields and new rice varieties support population densities unprecedented in human history. Your final Chinese medieval life takes place during the Yuan dynasty, when Mongols ruled China. Foreign conquest brings new ideas but also challenges traditional Chinese culture. Chinese achievements during the medieval period, printing, gunpowder, the compass, paper money, will eventually transform the entire world. Medieval Africa, kingdoms of gold of. You open your eyes in the kingdom of Ghana 1,000 years ago. West Africa is home to some of the world's wealthiest and most powerful states. Your first surprise is the gold. Ghana controls gold mines that supply much of the world's precious metal. The king's court displays incredible wealth. You work as a trader, exchanging gold for salt, which is equally valuable in tropical climates. These two commodities make West African kingdoms incredibly rich. The trans-Saharan trade routes connect West Africa to North Africa and the Mediterranean world. Camel caravans cross the desert carrying valuable goods. You join a caravan traveling to Cairo, riding camels across hundreds of miles of desert. The journey is dangerous but incredibly profitable. Islamic merchants bring new ideas to West Africa. You convert to Islam, joining a religion that connects you to believers from Spain to Indonesia. The kingdom of Mali becomes even wealthier than Ghana. Mansa Musa, Mali's king, is probably the richest person who ever lived. You attend Mansa Musa's court in Niani, where gold is so common that it's used for everyday objects. The king's palace displays wealth beyond European imagination. Mansa Musa's pilgrimage to Mecca in 1324 amazes the Islamic world. He gives away so much gold in Cairo that it causes inflation for decades. You accompany this legendary pilgrimage, traveling with thousands of people and hundreds of camels loaded with gold. It's the greatest display of wealth in medieval history. Timbuktu becomes a center of Islamic learning. The city's libraries contain hundreds of thousands of books on every subject imaginable. Your daughter studies at Timbuktu's universities, learning mathematics, astronomy, and Islamic law. West African scholarship rivals anything in the Islamic world. But West Africa also faces challenges. The arrival of European slave traders begins devastating Atlantic Africa's population and social structures. Your final medieval African life witnesses the beginning of this catastrophe. Millions of Africans will be forcibly transported to the Americas over the next 4 centuries. Medieval Japan, the way of the warrior. You're reborn in Japan during the Kamakura period, 800 years ago. Japan has developed a unique culture, isolated from, but influenced by China and Korea. The samurai class dominates Japanese society. These warrior aristocrats follow Bushido, the way of the warrior, which emphasizes honor, loyalty, and martial skill. You become a samurai, learning swordsmanship, archery, and horseback riding. The katana sword becomes both weapon and spiritual symbol. Japanese warfare emphasizes individual combat between skilled warriors. Battles begin with single combat challenges between famous fighters. Your son studies Zen Buddhism, which teaches meditation and spiritual discipline. Zen philosophy strongly influences samurai culture and Japanese arts. Japanese art develops in unique directions. Poetry, painting, and garden design all emphasize simplicity, naturalness, and subtle beauty. You learn the tea ceremony, which transforms drinking tea into a spiritual practice. Every movement has meaning and reflects Japanese aesthetic principles. The Mongols attempt to invade Japan twice, in 1274 and 1281. Both invasions fail, partly due to typhoons that destroy the Mongol fleets. You fight against the Mongol invasion, using superior Japanese weapons and tactics. The failed invasion strengthened Japanese confidence in their unique culture. Japanese Buddhism develops differently from Chinese Buddhism. New sects like Pure Land Buddhism make salvation available to ordinary people, not just monks. Your daughter becomes a Buddhist nun, learning to read and write classical Chinese. Education for women is limited but not impossible in medieval Japan. The Ashikaga shogunate brings political instability but cultural flowering. Japanese arts reach new heights during this period of weak central government. Your final medieval Japanese life takes place as European traders arrive in the 1540s. Portuguese merchants bring firearms which will revolutionize Japanese warfare. The Americas, civilizations before Columbus. You open your eyes in the Mississippian city of Cahokia 900 years ago. North America's largest city has 20,000 residents and massive earthen pyramids. Cahokia's Central Plaza can hold thousands of people for ceremonies and games. The city's influence extends throughout the Mississippi River Valley. You work as a farmer, growing corn, beans, and squash. The three sisters that provide complete nutrition. American agriculture feeds growing populations. Your son becomes a long-distance trader, carrying copper from the Great Lakes, shells from the Gulf Coast, and obsidian from the Rocky Mountains. These trade networks connect North American societies from coast to coast. Ideas, technologies, and goods travel along well-established routes. You're reborn among the ancestral Puebloans in the southwest, building cliff dwellings that seem to grow out of the rock face itself. The engineering required to build these structures is incredible. Multi-story apartment buildings are constructed in seemingly impossible locations. Water management becomes crucial in the desert southwest. You help build irrigation systems that bring water to crops in the driest regions. Your daughter learns to weave baskets so tightly they can hold water. Basketry technology reaches incredible sophistication in the Americas. You witness the construction of Chaco Canyon's great houses, massive structures that require coordination between dozens of communities. The road system connecting Chaco Canyon to outlying communities covers hundreds of miles. These aren't just trails, they're engineered highways. American civilizations develop unique approaches to government, religion, and social organization. Democracy, as practiced by the Iroquois, influences later political thinking. Your final pre-Columbian American life takes place among the Aztecs, just before Spanish conquistadors arrive. The collision of worlds is about to begin. The medieval bridge. As your medieval lives end, you've lived through humanity's bridge between ancient and modern times. The Middle Ages preserved ancient knowledge while creating new institutions. Medieval people weren't backwards or ignorant. They created universities, developed new technologies, and built magnificent cathedrals that still inspire awe today. The period saw the rise of global trade networks, the spread of world religions, and the development of new forms of government and social organization. Most importantly, the Middle Ages proved that knowledge and culture could survive political collapse. Libraries, schools, and traditions kept human learning alive. Your next era, the Renaissance and early modern period, will see medieval achievements transformed into something recognizably modern. The foundation is complete. But that's for your next set of lives. For now, rest, knowing that you've helped humanity survive its most challenging period and emerge stronger than ever. The Renaissance and early modern period, rebirth and exploration. Italy, the dawn of a new age. You wake up in Florence, Italy in the year 1400. The world is about to change forever. The Renaissance, meaning rebirth, is beginning, and you're right in the middle of it. Your first life is as an artist's apprentice. You grind pigments, prepare canvases, and slowly learn to paint. Art is no longer just about religion. People want portraits, landscapes, and scenes from everyday life. Your master teaches you about perspective, how to make flat paintings look three-dimensional. This sounds simple, but it's revolutionary. Medieval paintings looked flat because artists didn't understand these mathematical rules. You watch Leonardo da Vinci work in his studio. He's not just an artist, he's an inventor, scientist, and engineer. He designs flying machines, studies human anatomy, and paints the most famous smile in history. Leonardo cuts open dead bodies to understand how muscles and bones work. This is illegal and dangerous, but he believes artists must understand what they're painting. Your sister becomes a patron of the arts. Rich families, like the Medici, spend fortunes on paintings, sculptures, and buildings. Art becomes a way to show wealth and power. You help build the dome of Florence Cathedral, an engineering marvel that shouldn't be possible. The architect, Brunelleschi, invents new construction techniques to make it work. The printing press arrives from Germany, changing everything. Books that once took months to copy by hand can now be printed in days. Knowledge spreads faster than ever before. You work in a print shop setting type for books about science, philosophy, and exploration. Ideas that were once locked away in monasteries now reach ordinary people. Your son studies at a university where ancient Greek texts are being rediscovered. Scholars learn that the ancient world was more advanced than anyone realized. Greek refugees from Constantinople bring ancient books to Italy. These texts contain mathematical formulas, scientific theories, and philosophical ideas that were lost for centuries. You attend lectures where professors debate new ideas about the universe. Maybe the Earth isn't the center of everything. Maybe the stars are incredibly far away. Maybe everything you thought you knew is wrong. Italian city-states become incredibly wealthy from trade. Venice controls sea routes to Asia. Genoa finances expeditions around the world. Florence becomes a banking center. Your daughter marries a banker who lends money to kings and merchants across Europe. The Medici Bank has branches from London to Constantinople. But wealth brings problems. Italian cities fight each other constantly. Mercenary armies devastate the countryside. Political intrigue and assassination become common. You serve as a diplomat, trying to keep peace between warring city-states. Politics becomes a science, with rules and strategies that Machiavelli will later write about. The Renaissance changes how people think about themselves. Individuals matter more than they did in medieval times. Personal achievement and fame become important goals. Your final Italian Renaissance life takes place as Spanish and French armies invade Italy. The Renaissance is spreading to the rest of Europe, but Italy's independence is ending. Northern Europe, Reformation and Revolution. You're reborn in Germany in 1500, just as a monk named Martin Luther is about to split Christianity forever. The Catholic Church sells indulgences, payments that supposedly reduce punishment in the afterlife. Your family spends their savings on these promises of salvation. You work as a printer, creating copies of Luther's writings. His ideas spread like wildfire because of the printing press. Within months, all of Europe is talking about church reform. Luther argues that salvation comes from faith alone, not from buying indulgences or following church rules. This threatens the entire medieval system of religious authority. Your son becomes a Protestant minister, preaching in German instead of Latin. For the first time, ordinary people can understand religious services. The Bible is translated into everyday languages. You help print German Bibles that let people read scripture for themselves instead of relying on priests to interpret it. Religious wars tear Europe apart. Catholics and Protestants fight for decades. The Holy Roman Empire splits into dozens of small states, each choosing its own religion. You survive the 30 Years' War, which kills 1/3 of Germany's population. Soldiers from all over Europe march through your village, taking food and burning houses. The Peace of Westphalia in 1648 ends the religious wars. Countries agree that rulers can choose their own religion and that other nations shouldn't interfere. Your daughter moves to the Netherlands, which becomes Europe's most tolerant country. Jews, Catholics, and Protestants live together peacefully, focused on making money instead of fighting. Dutch merchants create the world's first global trading company. The Dutch East India Company has its own army, builds its own cities, and rules parts of Asia. You invest in a trading voyage to the Spice Islands. The profits are incredible, but so are the risks. Pirates, storms, and diseases kill many sailors. The Dutch invent new forms of business organization. Joint stock companies let many people invest in expensive projects like exploring new continents. Banking becomes more sophisticated. You deposit money in Amsterdam and withdraw it in Venice using letters of credit. International finance makes global trade possible. Your final Northern European life takes place in England, where Parliament is fighting King Charles I. The English Civil War will change how people think about government forever. The age of exploration, worlds collide. You open your eyes on a ship deck in 1492, sailing west into the unknown Atlantic Ocean. Christopher Columbus believes he can reach Asia by sailing west, but he's about to discover something much more important. The crew is terrified. No one has ever sailed this far from land. Strange birds and floating weeds make everyone think monsters, or the edge of the world might be nearby. You spot land on October 12, 1492. Columbus thinks he's reached the Indies, but this is actually the Caribbean. Two worlds that have been separate for thousands of years are about to meet. The encounter between Europeans and Native Americans changes everything. Europeans bring horses, guns, and diseases. Native Americans introduce new crops like corn, potatoes, and tomatoes. You witness the Spanish conquest of the Aztec Empire. A few hundred Spanish soldiers defeat millions of Aztecs not because they're better fighters, but because diseases kill most of the native population. Smallpox, measles, and other European diseases devastate Native American populations. Some estimates suggest 90% of Native Americans die from diseases in the first century after Columbus. Your son becomes a conquistador searching for gold in South America. The Spanish discover silver mines in Bolivia that produce more wealth than Europe has ever seen. Spanish silver changes the global economy. Prices rise everywhere as more money enters circulation. China and the Islamic world demand silver for their goods. You work on a sugar plantation in Brazil, using enslaved Africans to produce sugar for European markets. The Atlantic slave trade begins, eventually transporting millions of Africans to the Americas. Portuguese explorers find sea routes to Asia around Africa. Vasco da Gama reaches India in 1498, breaking the Italian monopoly on Asian trade. Your daughter marries a Portuguese merchant who trades between Lisbon, Goa, and Macau. The Portuguese create the first truly global empire, with trading posts on every continent. The Dutch and English challenge Portuguese dominance in Asia. Trading companies from different countries fight for control of the spice trade. You serve on an English ship attacking Spanish treasure fleets. Pirates and privateers make the Atlantic Ocean incredibly dangerous, but also incredibly profitable. The Manila Galleon trade connects Asia and the Americas. Silver from Mexico buys silk and porcelain from China. The world's first global economy is being born. Your final exploration life takes place in the early 1600s, as European colonies in North America begin to succeed. The age of exploration is ending, but the age of colonialism is just beginning. The scientific revolution, understanding the universe. You're reborn in Poland in 1543, the year Copernicus publishes his theory that the Earth orbits the Sun. Everything people thought they knew about the universe is wrong. You study astronomy at Krakow University, learning to use new instruments like the telescope. The night sky, once mysterious and unchanging, reveals incredible complexity. Galileo Galilei shows you Jupiter's moons through his telescope. If Jupiter has moons, then not everything orbits the Earth. The old view of the universe is crumbling. The Catholic Church puts Galileo on trial for teaching that the Earth moves. Scientific truth conflicts with religious authority, creating a crisis that will reshape both science and religion. Your son studies medicine at Padua University, where professors dissect human bodies to understand anatomy. Medical knowledge advances rapidly when doctors can see how bodies actually work. You witness the discovery of blood circulation by William Harvey. For the first time, doctors understand that the heart pumps blood through the body like a mechanical pump. Mathematical thinking transforms science. Isaac Newton shows that the same laws of motion control both falling apples and orbiting planets. The universe operates like a giant machine. You help Newton conduct experiments with light and color. White light contains all colors mixed together. This discovery leads to better telescopes and microscopes. The Royal Society in London becomes a center for scientific research. Scientists share discoveries and debate theories. Knowledge advances through cooperation instead of secrecy. Your daughter studies chemistry, learning that air, water, and other substances are made of different elements. The ancient theory of 4 elements, earth, air, fire, and water, is proven wrong. You work in a laboratory where scientists weigh and measure everything carefully. Precise measurement becomes the foundation of scientific method. The microscope reveals a hidden world of tiny creatures. Your blood, your food, and even your drinking water contain living things too small to see with the naked eye. Scientific instruments become more sophisticated. Clocks, thermometers, and barometers let scientists measure time, temperature, and air pressure precisely. Your final scientific revolution life takes place in the early 1700s, as Enlightenment thinkers begin applying scientific methods to human society and government. The bridge to modernity, as your Renaissance and early modern lives end, you've witnessed humanity's transformation from medieval to modern thinking. The world of 1700 is completely different from the world of 1400. Scientific method replaces superstition. Global trade connects all continents. Religious tolerance slowly emerges from centuries of war. Individual achievement becomes more important than birth or tradition. But this period also begins humanity's darker chapters. The slave trade, the destruction of Native American civilizations, and the beginning of European colonialism show that progress comes with a terrible price. The printing press, the compass, gunpowder, and the telescope. These 4 inventions reshape human civilization. Information spreads faster, exploration becomes possible, warfare changes forever, and the universe reveals its secrets. Your next era, the Industrial Revolution, will see these changes accelerate even more. Steam engines, factories, and railroads will transform daily life more completely than anything in human history. But that's for your next set of lives. For now, rest knowing that you've helped humanity bridge the gap between the medieval and modern worlds. The foundation for everything that follows has been laid.